Good morning. Welcome to WyoToday Sports Live here on 101.7 KDNO. It's another Friday, and we're sorry about last week. We had some issues popping all over the place, and all of us were gone and about. Baylor showed up here to get us on, and then we just were unable to pull it off, but we are here. Cody and Baylor enjoying a well-deserved break here over the holidays. So I'm Kevin Shields, and I'm joined by Marshall Whitaker. Our color commentator from WyoToday's Game of the Week during football, and he worked a little bit of Thermopolis basketball. How's it going, Marshall?
It's a pretty good day. We've made it through Christmas, pushing towards the new year, and so looking forward to getting back to a full sports schedule here in the next couple of weeks.
Well, and it's a little weird because we hit basketball running really, really hard.
Yeah.
And then it disappears for, depending on who it is, 2.5, at least 2 weeks and a couple days in Cody's case, and a day or two more in Ernie's case for Lander Valley, and then a full basically 3 weeks for Riverton as they will be facing. And I don't know what it's going to be called this year. The James Johnson, the former tournament formerly known as Taco John's, down in Cheyenne. And we're putting together that final schedule, making sure we have it, and then we'll let you guys know. We are going to be seeing 4 games for the girls and the boys, so it will be a double header. So we want to thank the folks over at Porter's Mountain View Supply. If you're getting ready for winter or you're already feeling that Wyoming cold, Porter's Mountain View Supply is the place to stop. They specialize in wood stoves and pellet stoves, helping homeowners find the right heating solution for their space. And it's not just stoves. Porter's carries pellet fuel, stove pipe and venting, chimney components, and all the accessories you need, from stove tools and gloves to cleaners and maintenance supplies. What really sets Porter's apart is the service. Their knowledgeable team takes the time to explain your options, make sure you leave with something that works for your home and not one-size-fits-all solution. They also offer special financing, making it easier to upgrade your heating system before winter really sets in. You'll find Porter's Mountain View Supply at 750 East Sunset Drive here in Riverton. Give them a call at 307-856-6066 or stop in and talk with the team today. That's Porterview Mountain Supply, trusted heating solutions for Wyoming winters. And before the snow fly, we're gonna pay. It doesn't feel like Christmas. It's like 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Marshall's been under the weather.
Yeah, January is going to be a very different month. I'm just not real sure exactly what January is going to be weather-wise, but I am afraid of what it's going to be based on my almost 15 years of Wyoming winters, that if we get a nice December like this, we pay for it.
Yes, we do. And, speaking of tournaments, we had, of course, this past weekend, and this feels weird because it feels like it was a weekend yesterday. So I feel like it's Monday, but I kind of like this, work get like a day and a half off, come back to work Friday, then get 2 days off. That should be the normal work schedule.
Yeah, I could live with that. That's not too bad.
But, of course, Wyoming Indian, of course, off to a great start boys-wise. They are undefeated, are the Chiefs. The girls, a little bit more difficulties. They're gun for as well. They always are. Both teams are. Stacked rosters. The girls just taking a little bit of time, late Chiefs, to get a little bit back into game shape. But the Chiefs are undefeated. Of course, this past weekend, the Lander Valley Tigers and Lady Tigers at 2 different events. One at the Douglas Classic, that'd be the girls. The boys at the Lander Classic. And they win, and we'll give you those scores in just a second. They go 6-0 combined, 3-0 each. And for Riverton, or actually, let's go to Thermopolis goes. I did not see the girls play, so we'll get to that at some point. The boys, however, do go the boys go 2-1. They lose to Green River
Yeah.
on the last day, and thanks to Eric Pauly for letting us use his feet on that one. And for Riverton, they go down there. The girls go into it 0-5. They come out of it. Or go into 0-4. They come out of it 2-5, so go 2 for 3.
Yep.
And the boys, of course, go 3-0. Riverton boys, very good little team, very intense. How good are they? They're on a 4-game win streak, but I just don't know because the level of competition wasn't bad, but it's not what we're going to face in 4A.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. For the girls, we learned a little bit. They are improved. Their defense has gone from raw and aggressive and functional to a little more honed in.
Yeah.
It is a little more precise. Still with the turnover problem, and still with giving up second half runs. Now, the Riverton Lady Wolverines had something happen on Saturday. I did not anticipate. And that was they were up 41-3 at half over Kimmerer.
Yeah.
The other thing they learned though is how important Talon Leesburg is for a team that had no seniors last year. They returned all but one. Their
Yeah.
top 5 of their top 6 are all seniors. So this is an important year. Leesburg went out to foul trouble in Friday's game, and it went out in foul trouble last week, and then this week stayed out of foul trouble. And when she went into foul trouble last Saturday morning against Lovell, the wheels just fell off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not because she's not scoring at her normal consistent clip, which is fine. That's no rip. She's really just leading the offense, and the offense has a few more options. They want to run fast, but when she goes out and Lexi Taylor and Tatum Tyra are good ball handlers for post players.
But there's a definite drop off in the ball handling skill set at that point, and it's a lot harder to lead the offense when she's not on the court. Because the ability to make those plays and to make those reads, it just drops a level and it slows everything down on their offense, which just gets them out of sync, gets them out of rhythm, and creates issues that they don't really have to have if she stays out of the foul trouble.
Very much so. The turnovers they've kind of compensated for by forcing a lot of their own.
Yeah.
The run is still an issue, although it wasn't as much of an issue this past weekend. But when Leesburg is so important to it because she's just hard to steal the ball from. She's a little more accomplished at ball handling, and again, that's no rip on Aspen Gordon, Lexi Taylor, and Tatum Tyra and Timbery Mathill, who handle the ball well, especially for people who play down low in the paint.
Right.
But when you get kind of nervous when you see someone so tall dribbling around the perimeter, and especially when you've got to have them bring the ball up the court, and that was the problem against Lovell. So Leesburg's just got to watch for foul trouble. Really, the story for the girls this year is the onset of Carson Vosica.
Yes.
We knew last year she had the talent. She'd shown it in very large glimpses, actually. And this year she scored first 8 points against Kimmerer on the fast break. She's got a nice little run and shoot. Coach and I were talking, we'd love to see her lay it up when she's wide open instead of coming to the jump stop and do her little jump shot.
Right.
But that'll come, and she's only a sophomore, averaging double digits.
Yeah, she's very aggressive, very fast, and she just plays with a lot of determination, which, again, we thought we would see that coming into this year. I don't know that we thought we would see it come on as hot as we have this early in the season as a scorer and as a fast break option for the team.
And what's going to be really interesting is future years. She's got the talent to really make a run at, of course, all conference teams, but also all state teams. However, and this part's not in her control, which is the interesting part, who steps up alongside of her? Because right now, Riverton in tight games has gone only 6 deep, sometimes 7.
Yeah.
And when it's not that, they go 7 or 8, but they don't go long on that depth. The 7th and 8th player don't play extremely long. Basically, the rotation is Taylor, Vosica, Leesburg, Timbery Mathill, and Tatum Tyra, and then Aspen Gordon in tight games. And that's kind of the tight rotation. We've seen him use it multiple times. Coach Bosner use it multiple times. In games where he needs a little more depth, you'll see Taryn Weber come off the bench after Aspen, play a good amount of time. And occasionally you'll see Kimber Mathill, Timbre's sister, come in. But usually that's a minute here, minute there. Conversely, for the boys, they start out 0-3 on the season. They're now 4-3 on the season.
Yeah.
And they're a little more deeper of a rotation because they're not extremely tall. They're not short either. A lot of guys from 6 foot to 6 foot, like 6'2", extremely athletic. And I think really that first tournament trying to find their roles.
Yeah. It kind of looks a little bit like that early mid-2000s Alabama Crimson Tide basketball team that was like 8 small forwards. They're athletic, they're long, they are fast, and they're aggressive. They just don't have anybody running around out there that's 6'9", and they don't really have a lot of small guards play. It's really a lot of good ball handling small forwards that can play any of the 5 spots, and in doing so, they do create some interesting matchups for some of the other teams, especially some of the other teams that are running some of the smaller lineups like we saw this past tournament. They just weren't able to match up with Riverton's athleticism, and as a result, Riverton was able to string together some wins.
Absolutely, and Riverton. It's gonna be really interesting. You saw Garrett Jackson step up. He is the leading scorer right now. Eric Smith, after a couple games to get warmed up, has returned back to old form. Gage Treber was out with an injury, so we'll see how he is with these next couple weeks. He tweaked his ankle in the second game at the Flaming Gorge. So again, they've got until like the 8th. That Thursday will be headed down to Cheyenne. Lander's got a regular season game coming up to open up the new year with Cody. And Wyoming Indian has the big game against Lodgegrass, Montana, the reservation there.
Yeah.
Up in, I think that's in Billings. And that's on Monday.
That's coming fast.
Not this Monday, but next
Monday. Yeah.
It's a week from Monday.
The week after the 1st, it starts to pick up, and that's gonna be an interesting game all the way around with the boys and the way that they have played thus far this year.
So that kind of gives you a look here. We've got a couple other scores. We'll throw a few out there just for you real quick. At the Wrangler Invite took place on Friday. Number 3 Upton defeated Shoshone 61-50 in girls basketball. Little Snake River, who's number 4 and very good, in 1A, pounded the Lady Rams of DuBois 75-19. On the boys' side, Shoshone defeated number 4 Upton 58-44. And mind you, Upton's 1A, just to throw that out there so it doesn't seem. And the girls from Little Snake River, who were number 3, defeated DuBois 74-43. On Saturday, in regular season action, regular season's conference type schedule, St. Stephen's Lady Eagles defeated Casper Christian 42-41. We've already went through those teams, so let's skip down. Number 1 Tongue River dispatched the Wind River Lady Cougars 65-27, and Moorcraft then did the same as they played a doubleheader and won 61-28. Number 1 Cokeville defeated DuBois 42-14. Shoshone defeated Riverside 55-46. Farson Eden then played the Lady Rams and won 55-15. On the boys' side, St. Stephen's absolutely crushed Casper Christian 80-27.
Yeah.
And then Moorcroft defeated Wind River by 1, 35-34. Wind River defeated Tongue River 59-44. And the Wrangler Invite, Cokeville defeated DuBois 64-47 on the boys' side. Shoshone Wrangler 6-6, Riverside 28, Farson Eden 50, DuBois 45. We did have a big swim meet as well. The Riverton Invite was this past weekend, and I don't want to say shot. Riverton's always got a pretty good boys swimming team, but of course Lander Valley's won 837 million state titles in a row. Riverton wins their home invite 386. Lander Valley scores 255 to come in third, right behind Cody. Give a little shout out to the winners. 200-yard freestyle was Teeter Hovander. 200-yard medley relay was Alex Jordan, Brody Koch, Porter Olson, and Teeter Hovander, all from RHS. And that's right, we're looking at the paper. You can get this scoreboard too.
Right.
Another medley, Alex Jordan, 100-yard butterfly, Brody Koch, 100-yard freestyle, Teeter Hovander, so far all from Riverton. 500-yard freestyle is Carter Plaisted from Lander Valley. 200-yard freestyle relay is Trevor Hill, Nathan Leafgreen, Grady Phillips, and Brody Plunk from Lander Valley. 100-yard backstroke, Alex Jordan again from RHS. 100-yard breaststroke, Brady Koch again from RHS. And the 400-yard freestyle relay, Teeter Hovander, Porter Olson, Brody Koch, and Alex Jordan of Riverton High School. We did have Battle of the Bighorns as well on the girls' side. Riverton comes in 6th, Shoshone 9th, Lander Valley in 10th. Some local individual winners at 100 pounds, Hallie Cooper at 135B category, Autumn Osborne of Riverton High School, and at 140 pounds B, Brooklyn Trempler. Congratulations, Coach, on your daughter winning. At the Joe Amon Invite, Wind River comes in 4th, Wyoming Indian in 11th. At 115 pounds, Aspen Butler wins, representing Wind River. And 120, also representing Wind River, was Lily Hill. On the boys' side, Riverton won Pool B, but was defeated by Cody in the finals with Douglas and Glenrock. So 4 pools. They take the winners of those 4 pools. They were Riverton, Cody, Douglas, Glenrock, and Cody defeated the other 4. On the Joe Moan Invitational side, it was Wind River in 9th, Wyoming Indian in 11th, and Du Bois in 12th. Individual winners only won 165 pounds. The B, because they just had so many at 165, Michael Sparks from Wind River High School. So a lot of sports going on, and it'll only get more packed. Of course, Ronthon right around the corner, and that's going to bring in a boatload of teams.
Yeah, we are just over a month away from Ronthon, and we are looking forward to a tremendous tournament here in Riverton for that. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to come in for this event, and it's going to be a full weekend with a lot of action. As always, Riverton wants to perform well at the tournament they host, and so I'm looking forward to being able to catch some of that action. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are as well. Been a good weekend. I mean, a lot of our teams played a lot of good games, played hard, got some wins. Shoshone's basketball boys is looking good. They're doing some things that are pretty fun and impressive to watch. Wind River has gotten out there. They're playing some good ball as well. And you know, the boys and the girls both are, you know, I always love to see how hard they play. It's interesting at this level, watching these teams play hard, go for steals, play aggressive defense. When I was coming up, we were always told defense is nothing but working hard. And a lot of these teams put in a ton of work to be able to really demonstrate that. And it's fun. If you're not out there watching some of these local teams play, you definitely should get out and catch a game. It is worth the opportunity to go and see them.
Well, and now as we kind of transition, look at from 99.1 KWY. Before that, if you're interested in sports broadcasting and like to call games and live in Hot Springs or Thermopolis, we are looking for somebody to join our broadcast team. We've got some people who are going to be able to do some games for us. You might see a returning face here, too. You might see a face from football every now and then. But we're looking for someone to join that crew. So just give us a call, 307-856-2244, or send an email to kshields, that's KSHIELDS, at WyoToday, WyoToday.com. As we look at the University of Wyoming, of course, who plays on 991 KWYW, they are, I just forgot the record, 9-3, 0-1 in conference. And of course, they got one of their second real tests. They'd faced Texas Tech earlier. That Texas Tech loss at in Lubbock.
Yeah.
Texas loses by 4. Of course, that's looking better and better now. Texas Tech has defeated Duke on a neutral site. But they faced Grand Canyon. Of course, Grand Canyon is Bryce Drew for basketball fans' team. He is a former coach of Vanderbilt, but he's probably most famous for last-minute buzzer beater for Valparaiso way back when against the Ole Miss Rebels. Well done long baseball pass, caught at the highest point by the center, dishes down, 3 on its way. They win. His teams are always pretty good. They're 7-4 right now, but they had their way with the Wyoming Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I say way because while it was only 12 points, it's 82-70. At half, it was a 19-point lead, 45-26, and Wyoming outscored them by 8 in the second half, but just 7, but just could not make up that distance.
No, they were never really in that game at all. Wyoming was really overwhelmed, it looked like, from the start in that game.
And now they've got this coming Tuesday, they travel down to face Air Force, and then a big early conference road trip as they will go to the Pit, New Mexico, on Saturday the 3rd. That game will be at 6. The Air Force game, by the way, on Tuesday will be at 2, so it'll be early. Put it on at work here on 991 KWYW and take a listen in. And it's exciting so far, Cowboy season.
Yeah, absolutely. They're showing some good things. I think they're better than maybe a lot of people thought they were going to be. The question now is really saying, okay, just how much better? How good are they? And as they get into some of these tests with Air Force, as they definitely get into the game with New Mexico, I think we're going to find out, what kind of mettle they really have. They come out of this week with a couple of wins. I think folks are going to have to stand up, pay attention that Wyoming could really be a threat in conference this year.
And, of course, we also have Lady Pokes games. Not all of them, just as many as we can fit in. Lady Pokes struggling right now. They have lost 4 in a row. They sit at 4-7, and they haven't been particularly close in a while. Wyoming lost to Fresno State on last Saturday by 17. Lost by 23 the Wednesday before, or won by 23. Excuse me. They've lost one. They're 1-3 their last 4. Yeah. They pounded San Jose State. Before that, they faced, of course, Big Ten's Minnesota and lost by 46.
Yeah.
Before that, Big 12's Colorado and lost by 12. And they won on November 29th. They've got a couple of very important conference games coming up, and that starts this coming Wednesday, where they'll visit the Pit in New Mexico. Then they'll host San Diego State, then go to Nevada, and then host UNLV. So a big 4-game stretch coming up for the Lady Pokes.
Yeah, they got to shoot better than 33% from the field. Their shooting has not been good this last stretch. They played that game this last week against Fresno State. They shot 32.5% from the floor. There's just no way you can win against solid teams if you're not able to close these things out and shoot better than 1 out of 3 from the field.
And that's a difference also in you look at the men's and women's game. The women's game is growing.
Yep.
Thanks to years of going all the way back to Pat Summitt at Tennessee, I just forgot the LSU coach when she was at Baylor, and of course Notre Dame and other and Baylor and UConn. Can't forget Gene Auriemma's contribution. Yeah. It's been growing and growing, but there are certain conferences, and quite honestly, part of the Mountain West is one of those conferences where the talent gap is just huge.
Yeah, it's significant.
It's monumental, and it's not quite as much in the men's game.
Yep.
In part, my guess would be if we were to look at it, in part it's the recruiting budgets and things of that nature that go into, whereas pretty much everybody in Division I, especially if you're in, let's call it the Big 8 conference, basically the Power 9 from the P4 and the G5 from football.
Yeah.
If you're in one of those, usually you've got pretty decent, at least to recruit regionally for men's hoops. The women's team is very good, and they've won some Mountain West. It's just hard to get over that hump. But again, it's a growing sport. It's like MLS from professional soccer ranks.
That's right.
It is what it is right now. It's getting better, but there's still a ways to go. And
yeah.
Wyoming has a chance to really lead that. And, at the same point in time, I mean, we're all different, and men and women are different. So as such, recruiting those two is different.
Oh yeah,
so
100%.
it's definitely less tradition based. Whereas even UCLA, if they've gone through some bad stretches. Duke really hasn't as of late, but Syracuse, those type of teams, they can recruit on tradition. Whereas when you look at the traditional women's powers, when I was a kid, Tennessee still recruiting well from the SEC, but the other one, where have they gone? Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
They've kind of folded more into being what they were, which people who are not 50-ish or 40 plus don't remember. Louisiana Tech was dominant. It was them in Tennessee. They were dominant powers. Louisiana Tech, but now they've kind of fallen back into being a mid-major type role and things of that nature. And the Baylors and the Notre Dames and others have stepped up, but we've seen Baylor go up and then go down. We've seen Notre Dame go up and a little down. The mainstay seems to be Gene Auriemma at UConn.
South Carolina has come on in the last 10 years pretty aggressively.
Don't get me started on that head coach. She's one heck of a head coach, but she is so outspoken politically, and I don't think she understands it hurts her in her own state. But and there's no need for it. There's just win national champions, and they won't care if you're to the far right of Glenn Beck or if you're the far left of Bernie Sanders. Win basketball games, and they won't care. Win football games, and they'll adopt your politics.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, that's pretty much the way that goes in that part of the country for sure. We've seen some interesting things. I had a buddy. He had a sister that was 6'1", who never played basketball ever, and a college recruiter basically offered her a full ride scholarship to come play basketball for him just off of size alone. That still happens in the women's game simply because you can't teach size. No. You can't teach a 6'1", 6'3" female. You can't teach speed. If you find somebody that's really fast, we can teach them how to dribble. We can teach them how to shoot. But they're still taking chances that in some of the other sports, they don't take those chances that way.
They still do in men's. I remember when I was with Georgia basketball. I mean, if you're 7 foot tall, you are going to get a shot. Everybody's going to figure, well, I'll give it a try to develop.
Yep.
And that's where you kind of at times saw the ugliness of Division I sports. It's kind of evened out a little bit now.
Yeah.
But it used to be those, and a lot of places they still are. At Georgia, they're 4-year now, at least in football. I know they are because Smart Rick made it that way. But they're 1-year contracts. And I saw, I can call out his name. He's not here. A young man from England come over, 7'1", named Kevin Bishop. Never really fit in. Really wasn't Division I type player. And they just cut him loose after a year. What's he going to do? He traveled all this way. He had the money, but he chose to go back home. And, he went and played in the English professional leagues, I heard, for like 12, 15 years.
There you go.
Didn't make NBA money, but made like $150,000 a year. So you can't fault that for 12 years.
Well, and even at the professional level, I remember when I was graduating high school, the Atlanta Hawks drafting a guy named Priest Lauderdale, who was 7'4", and he was thick. There was just two problems. He couldn't play basketball, and people didn't like him. And as a result of that, he didn't last very long. But how do you not take a flyer with like the 26th pick on a guy that's 7'4" and he's 280 pounds?
Well, and I'm going to wait till Cody and Baylor get back. Folks, I've got a rant building that will rival the Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott rant, and we'll tease it here in case you hadn't noticed. There's somebody who was drafted in the first round of the NBA draft, was in the G League, is now coming. Now we've got two, actually. One at BYU, and I forget where the other one's going. Baylor, and they have full eligibility. The one at Baylor's getting 4 full years. And we'll save that rant for when Cody and Baylor are here because they'll get a kick out of it and hopefully agree. So, Marshall, we're going to jump into our pick'ems to close out the show now. Right now, I don't know where Baylor stands. Baylor, if you're listening, because I don't see your picks in a text. I know you weren't here last time we picked. So, right now, you're still sitting at 48-30. Just show me where you sent those because I know you did. I just can't find them in a text. I'm sitting at 52-31. Cody's sitting at 58-25 as he and I went 4-1 this past weekend. So, Marcia, you're our guest picker. We've got 7 games this week. No pro, only one pro. But I wanted to have a little fun here. We're going to start with Clemson versus Penn State in the what should have been bowl.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go with Clemson. Only because I just feel like Penn State's going in the wrong direction all the way around right now.
All right, I'm going with Clemson. Then we got BYU versus Georgia Tech.
I'm taking Georgia Tech. I think they've played good ball, and I think they're going to give BYU more than they can handle.
I may be hated because I know it's a huge Wyoming rivalry, but the day I picked Georgia Tech is the day you put me 6 feet under. BYU's gonna do things to them that are just unforeseen and criminal, but will honor the honor code. It will be done with class, which I always like about BYU. BYU, of course, only 2 losses on the season, both to the number 4 rated Texas Tech Red Raiders. So I just think they handle their business. They watch the Georgia tape defensively and figure out how to stop Tech and go from there. And now we're into playoffs. Miami versus Ohio State.
Ohio State.
I am going with Miami.
I want to go with Miami. I look at Ohio State and I still say there's so much I don't know. There's so much I don't know about Ohio State in terms of what they can do just based on who they've played. But after watching Miami last week, I just do not have confidence in Miami to be able to beat a quality opponent like Ohio State.
Alabama, Indiana in the Rose Bowl.
Because there's a traditional powerhouse matchup. I'm going to go with Alabama. Alabama, similar to Oklahoma, if they can get both sides of the ball to play at the same level, they're hard to beat by anybody in the country. It's just a matter of consistency. I think Indiana looks good. I think there's a lot there. But I think if Alabama pulls it together, I think Alabama takes Indiana.
I'm going with the Hoosiers. Their defense, until the Ohio State game, really had been overlooked. They played very well in the trenches, and only been looked because they had such a guy and such an athlete, Heisman winner in Mendoza. And say what you want to, but that was my second rant I've actually done, was the Pavia rant, how Pavia seems to be a horrible human being, telling the voters to certain letter off after they didn't vote for him. Meanwhile, Mendoza's just sitting there just full of joy.
Yep.
So the difference there, I'm going to go with the Hoosiers. Bama beat up a little bit last week by Oklahoma. Should have lost that game. Oklahoma, second time in the playoffs, they have blown a 17-point lead. First time was when there were only 4 teams, and it's Baker Mayfield in the Rose Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs. Okay, next up, Oregon versus Texas Tech.
I'm going to go with Oregon.
Oh, we're different greatly. I'm going to go with Texas Tech. They're my dark horse in this tournament. Everybody's kind of overshadowed. They have the best defensive player in college football. Won every linebacker award, won their Player of the Year award, and I think they're going to beat up on the Ducks. I will give Dan Lanning credit from the Ducks, saying that, you know what, this should be a home game for the Red Raiders. They should be awarded with a home game, and I agree. Because can you imagine what the Horseshoe, Texas Tech, Indiana, and the University of Georgia would look like this weekend, or this coming week, I should say. These games are all one's on, I think, New Year's Eve, and the rest are, I think it's Miami, Ohio State on 31st, and then the rest on the 1st.
Yeah.
So I took Texas Tech. Why I jumped over Bama? I got those reversed. But lastly, a rematch that kind of maybe the Georgia defense is looking forward to kind of prove themselves as better now, but a rematch nonetheless between Georgia and Ole Miss. I am taking Lane Kiffin was great. This new guy's got Ole Miss buying into him. So I really think that, to quote Ernie Johnson of NBA TNT fame and now ESPN, that Ole Miss is going to score a late touchdown to cut the deficit to 17. And it'll be George. I think Georgia's defense has gotten way better, and that's really the key. Offense just needs to do what it did against Ole Miss, score 40 plus. But I think it's going to be a long day for the Rebels. I'm going to take Georgia, and that means
I'm going to take Georgia too. That's not even a question for me at this point. I felt like Georgia played maybe their worst game of the season against Ole Miss defensively. Even though they won that game, I do not think they played well at all, and they were still able to find a way to win. I don't expect them to play that game on New Year's Day, and as a result, I think Georgia will push Ole Miss around the field.
Well, the defense has been a different breed ever since the Texas game. So, as Kirby said, they got better and they matured because it's the youngest defense he's had. So, that'll set up some interesting matchups for the following week. These playoffs are taking forever.
Yes.
And finally, we have our one pro game between a team that kind of I think everybody expected to be one of the top runners, the San Francisco 49ers, and what they had, Christian McCaffrey and the like, against a team that I don't think anybody had being this good, number one seed in the NFC at the moment. Of course, if you didn't see the Sunday game, was it Sunday morning or Saturday?
It was Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night
against Green Bay.
Holy cow! How it ended. The Chicago Bears, number one seed in the playoffs right now, and looking the part. Get the touchdown. Everybody thought he might go for two. Coach doesn't. Gets the onside kick, and then hits the long pass to DJ Moore, and to do it at home. So with that, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid now.
Yeah.
I know Cody's not, but I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm going Chicago, the Windy City, the Bears. They're gonna Michigan Avenue. They're gonna take it.
I will drink the Kool-Aid through the regular season. I'm going Chicago as well. Once we get to the playoffs, I may decide to stop. But until then, let's ride this train as far as we can ride it.
Well, the playoffs look to be a mess.
Yes, they're a disaster.
They looked. No one really wants to claim just the dominant team, and I think for Josh Allen, this is an important year. For Josh Allen and the Bills, because there is no Patrick Mahomes. That's off your back. They're not going to the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes was hurt even if they were. But no one seems to want to. Is Matt Stafford going to be able to play all those games at 87 years of age? Who knows?
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles, just because, once again, the NFC East is becoming the NFC least. In the NFC South, you got my Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, the only thing I know for sure in the NFL is my Falcons will not make the playoffs again.
Yeah. And then look, for the people who cheer locally, the Denver Broncos, they've won a boatload out of, they've won like 11 or last 12 or something like that, all being close, a lot of them being close games, a lot of them being down at some point in time.
Yeah.
Can Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos do that in the playoffs? I hate to say the traditional answer, and the answer is proven out over time, is no.
No.
So they're going to have to figure out a way to get past this. And can Bo Nix be good in big playoff games? If you look at him from college, now he made a step up, because in college he was not good in big games,
right?
Especially at Auburn. But he took a step up when he went to Oregon. And now he's taking a step up into the pros when everybody wrote him off when he was picked. So can he? You can't spot playoff teams' leads. So especially in the pros, you get behind early, that can usually spell a little bit of doom, especially on the road, because most of these playoff teams aren't going to be on their third string backup quarterback.
What do you mean you can't spot teams' leads in the playoffs? I mean, we spotted New England. We gave them 25 points and
28
to 3, and they come back on us. So what do you mean? Yeah, as we know, that's not the common thread, and that's really the issue that we're seeing though with just about every major team this year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing close games. Everybody's getting behind. Everybody's having to make comebacks. And so I don't know that we really have a good vibe of who's legit and who's a pretender, and probably won't until
to
the
the
divisional
playoffs.
round. Yeah.
Yeah. So Baylor's in Cheyenne. I don't know if it's for work or just to be down there with the holiday. I think he's off today, so he's down there visiting somebody or something like that. Or if it's work, travel safely, Cody. Baylor's in Florida. I would say enjoying warm weather, but
Yeah.
until Sunday, we're warm. And even then, we're still going to be like 30. So
It's still warm.
we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next Friday on 101.7 KDNO. And remember, on New Year's Eve, some Wyoming basketball action on 991 KWYW, The Heat.